All right, everybody. So, it would appear that my time away to grind the ever-living hell out of Final Fantasy XIV Dawntrail launch has led me to missing the long-awaited first Biden v. Trump debate. And while I was very busy playing the new Final Fantasy expansion, I was able to get just a few little hints about how the debate went. Supposedly not well. Apparently Biden was very tired and mumbly. He was stuttering a lot, very mumbly, not really projecting his voice much, not very clear and easy to understand, while Trump was continuing to be deranged and lacking any attachment to reality. And at one point, from what I heard, they got into an argument about who's the better golfer. Like, who golfs better? Neither side won, and neither side lost. Okay. Interesting. I know that the entire online left on Twitter for the last, 4 days has been saying, see, this is why we should not vote for Biden. We should let Trump get elected. Both Biden and Trump are going to do Project 2025, and they're going to give $20 trillion to Israel. They're equally bad, just outright making memes where it's like, Biden, and then it's Project 2025, another trillion to Israel, and then Trump, Project 2025, and another 20. Like, they don't even care to Google what Project 2025 is. Some even say it's a made-up conspiracy theory by the Democrats, like actual lefties. Yeah. Oh, God. Yeah, it's actually delusional. I'm really glad, though, that this kind of helps to give an insight into who's probably never voted in their life. Like, the people on Twitter saying not to vote for Biden have almost certainly never voted. Like, for as much as they complain about who's in office right now and they talk about politics, they've probably never, ever gotten off their ass to go vote, or even been able to order a mail-in ballot and vote from home if they're genuinely this upset over Biden mumbling. I don't know. Anyway, this is a CNN analysis and recap of the debate, so I'm interested to see this, but I also have a speech that Biden did a couple days later in North Carolina queued up for us to watch, because apparently that speech was far better than the debate, and people, more reasonable people on the left, are kind of like giving Biden some credit for that, from what I can tell. I haven't seen either of these yet. I've only heard the response, so let's go ahead and watch.
Joy. Yeah, I can relate to having a cold. I have a negative COVID test and a slight cold as well. So I understand not feeling well. And, obviously Joe Biden comes in with certain deficits. He has a stutter. It is more difficult for him to communicate for that reason. So there's a lot to mitigate the way that he speaks, and you can understand it. And we've observed him for a long time. That said, I too was on the phone throughout much of the debate with.
It really sucks that Biden is at heart, actively, pragmatically a really good president, but he is not the best orator, especially with age. As you get older, you get quieter, you get a little more mumbly, it's harder to project your voice and be booming. Trump has this, loud, squeaky, obnoxious tone to his voice that doesn't require him to have, Trump doesn't speak boomingly. He speaks, nasally, and nasally doesn't really go away or get thinned out with age. Biden always spoke deep and with his chest, and that gets weaker and more kind of mumbly and stuttery as you get older. And Biden, of course, has a stutter, and it is getting worse. Multiple medical experts have come out to say that while Biden's brain is not degenerating, he's not going through dementia or anything like that, he is aging. His brain is aging. He does have a 90-year-old brain, right? Or however old he is. I think he's 92 or 80, 88 or 87 or something. He does have an 80-something-year-old brain. However, Trump, he's 82, my bad. Trump, on the other hand, seems to be showing actual signs of dementia. Even for his younger age than Biden, the connection with a thought process or with reality that Trump demonstrates is much lesser than that of Biden.
Obama world people, with Democrats, with people who are political operatives, with campaign operatives. My phone really never stopped buzzing throughout. And the universal reaction was somewhere approaching panic. The people who were texting with me were very concerned about President Biden seeming extremely feeble, seeming extremely weak. And I'll just reiterate what I said earlier. President Biden had one job tonight, and it had one primary job. And yes, it was to litigate Donald Trump's, criminality and all of those things. But he had to settle his own party. He needed to settle Democrats. Democrats, they always talk about Democrats are bedwetters and Democrats are always panicking. Yes, Democrats are always panicking. They're always scared, right? They're always thinking they're going to lose. Like, Democrats are very pessimistic. This is just
neurotic.
Who they are. They're neurotic. But Joe Biden's job was to reassure them tonight.
Unironically true, though. Like, actually true. And even more so, I don't even know if it's more so on the left, because the left, like the left, feels like a mix of doomers and, like, unhinged high confidence in the inevitability of their beliefs winning lefties that are like delusional about like every other American they meet on the street being like armed and ready for the revolution to overthrow the bourgeoisie, right? Like, it's either they believe genocide's coming tomorrow or the revolution is coming tomorrow. In the online left, it feels like a very like solid split of unhingedness.
Right. His job was to calm his party, to make them feel that, yes, I can do this. I have 4 more years in me. I have the ability and the stamina and the strength to do 4 more years. He didn't.
Yeah, there are sometimes people who think both the genocide and the revolution are on the way. So yeah,
not do that. He did the opposite of that. He made them more panicked. The people who were texting me were even more panicked. They actually expected it to be better than it was. And now they're in I won't say a full-fledged panic, but it's getting there.
And are people that you're talking to who are expressing these concerns, are these people who are involved in Democratic politics, or
Yes.
are these liberals watching TV?
These are not liberals watching TV. These are campaign people. These are people who are either Democratic operatives. These are people who are former, sort of Obama world administration people. These are people who are in the business.
Okay.
So the civilians are also panicking. They're also texting me, but I was trying to.
they need to have like actually given Biden some like Coke or something. I don't know, like a Monster Energy even, something to wake his ass up. Like, give him a Red Bull even, some Adderall. Like, I don't fucking know. Give him a Monster Energy enema. Zan, are you trying to kill him? No. But bro clearly needed like a Monster Energy enema as a pick-me-up or something like that before the debate. Like, yeah. Heart attack.
Kind of ignore the civilians and really talk to the campaign folks. People are
he needed lock and load.
It's not a full drumbeat yet, but there is talk of. Look, here's the thing. I know a lot of politicians. I just happen to know a lot of them at a lot of levels. They all believe that they have a unique ability to run the race that they passionately want to run. And I know for a fact that Joe Biden passionately believes that he is the only person who can beat Donald Trump, and he has evidence of it because he did it before.
Right.
He knows that he has certain.
That is true. Like, people can shit talk Biden as much as they like, but he's the only person on the planet to ever beat Donald Trump in an election. Think about that for a moment. Nobody but Joe Biden has ever been capable of beating Trump in an election before. And he has.
Demographic strengths that Donald Trump cannot counter. He is the real working class white guy that's actually Donald Trump's base, so he knows how to talk to them. He believes that he is the only person that can do it. The problem is, after tonight, his party doesn't believe that.
I want to hear from Lawrence and Chris as well. I first want to go to our colleague Alex Wagner, who is on site in Atlanta. She has been watching the debate.
Whoa, that's
in the
my
spin room.
name.
Alex, what's the reaction that you've been hearing there?
I'm not going to put a fine sheen on it.
Alex is a
or
girl's
spin
name.
on it. Even though I'm in the spin room, Rachel, there has been a uniformly negative reaction to.
I will say, isn't it funny that I have like the non-binary name? Like, Alex, I think, is, like, possibly one of the most non-binary names there is, because if someone says, my friend Alex is coming over, you have no idea if a dude named Alexander is about to come into the room, or if a girl named Alexis or Alexandra is about to come into the room. You can't get, you have to ask, what's the full name, you know? Yeah.
To Biden's performance tonight. Surely, as Joy said, this was about
very
revealing who
ambiguous
Donald Trump
name.
was, but it was also Joe Biden battling a caricature of himself as an enfeebled person, an impression that Trump has
envies are
been
coming
eager
for
to
me.
convey to the country, and he did nothing to disabuse, I think, the country of the notion that he is very old and was lost frequently in that debate. I mean, on answers that should have been, to put it bluntly, a layup for him, whether it was abortion or the attack on abortion medication. His answers were rambling and incoherent. He turned a response on abortion into a mention of migrant killing. I mean, this is a person that clearly was over-prepared and had a lot of different points that were sort of swimming around in his head. And as a result, it felt like the answers that were legible, if you will.
That's rough. That's really rough. He came over-prepared. I've done that for debates before. Something you got to learn to do, and this is an experience thing, is like if you do a shitload of research for a debate and you make that obvious and you like show your hand too early, your debate opponent will make sure that you are not able to pull from any of that, or you're not, or that like the conversation stays so base level that like your bringing that up seems like it's out of nowhere. So, yeah, it's probably best to just do the over-preparation, obviously, but then just go with the flow. In fact, my parents listen to right-wing news, and they've been repeating these same rumors for the past 3 years. The thing is, though, Zan, this isn't the first time that people have been panicking about Biden, TBH, or that there have been rumors about President Biden being replaced, etc. Yeah, I get it. I get it, Lefty Jenny. You don't need to spam that I need to read that.
Were not nearly delivered with the force and the clarity that they should have been. And I will say Donald Trump was in some ways the most Trumpy he has been lately, full of lies and misinformation. But it was almost...
Oh, did anyone do an official counter for how many lies Trump told during the debate? I know he told over, like, what, 30,000 lies in the course of his presidency from, like, 2016 to, like, 2018. How many lies did he tell in the debate alone? I didn't see one. We used to be a real country back when we did like the live Donald Trump lie tallier.
It's an afterthought. I think that the press that I've spoken with and the sort of the focus in this room is just, the Biden campaign wanted this debate. This was their idea.
Last I heard, it was about 53 lies. Okay, that's about right. He usually averages between 40 and 50 in any speaking engagement.
Yeah, and this is what happened as part of their strategy.
Over 50, okay.
It is confounding. We were told earlier this evening that the Biden spin team would be only making brief remarks in the room. And I don't know whether that is indicative of a group of people who understood the weaknesses that their candidate had in advance of this debate. But you can surely understand the logic of that after the fact.
Alex, we've just had...
I think they really shouldn't have done a debate at all. I don't think Biden's strength lies in speaking, and he should avoid doing too much public speaking, and he should just let his actions speak for themselves, like speak for itself. I don't know how well that would go. Like maybe you just have to constantly be in front of the public eye, or everyone can, like thinks they've replaced you with a robot. But I don't know. Like I feel like Biden might be smart to just not debate Trump, and just because he's currently president, just let his actions speak, Because Trump's best at getting lost in the mud and arguing and bringing Americans over by talking real, But Biden actually gets the job done. TBH, I think Biden's biggest weakness is that he clearly just fucking despises Trump. Oh, according to, like, inside info, Biden, like, in private, refers to Trump by the name sick fuck. He doesn't even call him Trump. He just says the sick fuck when referring to Trump exclusively. Like that's Biden's nickname for Trump is the sick fuck.
Confirmation just while we have been speaking with you just this moment that in just a moment we're going to have Vice President Kamala Harris joining us live. So that's going to happen here just within a matter of moments. Lawrence, I also want to get your response. I think one of the interesting things that Alex said there was that some of the poor coherence and poor answers from Donald Trump are being viewed as standard Trump and therefore not newsworthy, while the performance from President Biden is being viewed as newsworthy because it came in below expectations.
Yeah, in any sort of normal universe, you would think the candidate who during the presidential debate said, I didn't have sex with a porn star, was the loser of that debate. Yeah. That would be the normal scorecard. So let's just remember that so far, the only thing we've been concentrating on here is optics, that thing we call optics, and in this case also audio because of the aging voice of Joe Biden. But the question is that we don't know the answer to is voters out there who went into this debate thinking they're for Biden or they're...
Who is going... Here's the thing, though, that you also have to think about. Who was going into this debate thinking whoever sounds best coming out of this is who I'm voting for at this point? Like, we've had 4 years of Trump, 4 years of Biden. I feel like everyone's made up their mind. Maybe I'm discounting the effect of... But, like, even the young people entering voting age are not undecided. They're really likely to lean Biden or not vote at all. So it's like... I don't know. There are undecided voters. How many, though? How many at this point? That's the question.
they're for Trump, or thinking whatever they were thinking.
Oh my God.
What in this debate of substance that was true, if anything, moved their vote? So if you really wanted to look at it in terms of what is it supposed to be, it's supposed to be an illuminating forum in which you learn something about a candidate that you didn't know before that is true. Not that you learn a lie from the candidate. That's not what the objective is. But given that the optics is the way the game is played, what we don't yet know, and we'll know in polling a week from now or so, is what was the effect of all of this? What was the effect of the guy who said, I did not have sex with a porn star? What was the effect of the convicted criminal candidate pointing to the other candidate and calling him a criminal? What is the effect of all of that back and forth? And I think we're guessing about what the effect is of the realization that Joe Biden is actually as old as his birth certificate says he is. His voice is that old, too, but he's 10 years younger than Warren Buffett. And both of them have a job that is essentially making...
Fucking fair, actually. That is a good argument. Biden is 10 years younger than Warren Buffett. And no one's going to deny the capabilities of Warren Buffett to do his job, which is making money. Warren Buffett's really good at that.
Decisions. And what was not shown to me in a way that was true in that debate is that Joe Biden has made bad decisions in the presidency. I don't see the set of bad decisions. And what was done in the Biden presidency was certainly underdeveloped in a debate where you never heard the word infrastructure, for example. Like, it was pretty underdeveloped as this went on. And that has a lot to do with the nature of the rules of these debates.
I think what you just put your finger on to me is sort of the whole issue around where we find ourselves. The job of the president is making decisions. The job of a presidential candidate is to communicate. It just is. That's the job. It's a communications job. It is talking to people and communicating them, persuading them, trying to get people who don't agree with you. And I think Joe Biden has a very good record on making decisions, and I think he's a very poor communicator right now. And
that's exactly what I said. Yeah, this is very clear. He has a very good record in office with his policies, with his decisions, doing his job, but he's a very bad speaker, a very bad orator. People don't really, like, it seems like he loses supporters every time he opens his mouth.
Inability to communicate. I mean, I see this all the time. We will cover things on our show all the time. This big OPEC oil trade they did, where they bought high, they bought oil very cheap and then they sold very high. They made all this money.
Like, I've seen even lefties, I saw a quote that really upset me from, I think Vosh said this, and it, like, actually made me cringe. Like to my bones, I cringed when I read it. It was something like, Biden's always asking, who's the president? I'd really like to have a talk with this guy, as if it's not him. In reference to things like when Biden tweets, something like every American should have student debt relief. And the criticism is like, see, Biden should just, see, why isn't Biden dealing with that then? And then, like, literally the next day he does, right? And it's like Biden does this thing where he tweets about a thing being a problem, it gets a lot of attention, and then he deals with that problem. But every time I see Biden tweeting about that problem, even when he has the record of dealing with it like the next day, and that being like the prelude to a policy decision on his part or some kind of executive order, the replies are all like, then do something about it. Like, you're literally the president. This is your fault. Like, I don't know. It's really frustrating. I've seen that take a lot. And, yeah.
Kind of broke the back of OPEC. And people say, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. That's cool. Joe Biden.
Some dipshit told me to cope when I said that Biden did well in his current condition compared to Trump, who kept looping and pivoting on certain topics like abortion or Ukraine. Yeah. Kyle Kalinske, for example. Kyle Kalinske was a Bernie or buster in 2020. You guys know that, right? Like Kyle Kalinske literally encouraged his audience not to vote for Biden and to let Trump win to punish the Democrats for not letting Bernie get the nomination. Honestly, I don't think the lack of support for Biden could be bigger this time around than after Bernie. And the Bernie supporters, going Bernie or bust was negligible in the 2020 election. So I don't know. I don't know if like the people on the left who are not willing to use their ballot unless the perfect candidate is in place make up enough of the voter base to make a difference. And I know that a lot of median voters have left Trump and voted Biden, Will they swing back to Trump? That's unlikely, I think.
Should be the person communicating that. Joe Biden is not good at communicating his own record. And in the context of a campaign right now, his job, number one, is communicating. So that, and I don't disagree with you. I mean, I think you're right about the decision making. But I think the reason that there is all this, anxiety and all this stuff is because ultimately, and particularly in the television age, a lot of the presidency is communicating, but particularly when you're running for re-election, when it is the thing that is the most important thing.
But there's another job of the and this is even pre.
I hate that Americans are so stupid and politics is so focused on like non-tangible like owns and dubs and wins and like who's winning the culture war, who do I lean more towards, that like it's not what policies and how well has this guy done so far in the 4 years he's been in office, because that it would be too hard to research like how good of a job he's doing. No, we got to decide who's the better communicator, who makes us more excited to have them in office based on what they say, when we've literally had 4 years of both of them that we could research to figure out what their presidencies would actually be like, thus giving you an empirical decision of which outcome you would most prefer, how things were under Trump or how things were under Biden. We have the opportunity to choose more of one of those two options, and that is it.
Television era. There's a reason that FDR was never.
Well, Americans are actually pretty politically informed because America is one of the like unique situations where the 24-hour news cycle is so prevalent. There's a good handful of countries around the world where there is a very strong, prevalent 24-hour news cycle, and in America, it's one of the most like pervasive. So Americans are actually very informed, but they're so like information and news is so frequently shotgunned their way, no one retains anything. So Americans are actually super informed, but have the memory of goldfish. Because everything goes in one ear, out the other, and only has like a day's worth of like consideration and time in the memory banks, if that makes sense.
Shown in his wheelchair. There's a reason that John F. Kennedy pretended to be a vigorous man when he was certainly not. And Kennedy accelerated it, and I think Reagan super accelerated it because he was an actor and he was a Hollywood figure. And it's only gotten more intense until we got to President Obama, who like became popular partly because like rap artists were like taking his speeches and turning them into like hit music video. Like it's accelerated, but it was even true during the Roosevelt era. The president
Obama was like a very interesting phenomenon to witness as like an 8-year-old, because it really did seem like, with my very childish understanding of politics, it really seemed like, and you're going to laugh at me like for this, but it actually seemed like I was like born just in time to witness the end of racism. I was 8, okay? I was 8. All right, I was 8, and that's what I thought, because Obama was like so overwhelmingly like hyped up, like TV shows. There, like every car you would see, even in Florida, driving around Tampa, had a like change bumper sticker, and they continued to stay up for like 8 years after Obama was out of like office. I still see change bumper stickers from time to time on older cars. It's like, I don't know, like it was definitely an interesting time where it felt like America was more leaning progressive than ever, and I think that was due to the results of Reagan and Bush versus Gore, right? Like that was just such a shit show that I feel like so many progressives came out to vote and were so activated by that whole event that when it came to Obama versus Romney, or not Romney, that was 2012. Obama versus McCain. It was just a matter of like, yeah, no, we're going out to vote. We got to get Obama elected. We're not letting that shit that happened with Gore happen again. Especially by that point, people believe in climate change more. I have to like piece together more recent political history that has a much stronger effect on today from when I was a kid, and the bits that I know, but it's always interesting to look back at elections and how they looked when I was like very, very young.
is an avatar for the American people.
Compare them to today.
And the American people have a very high opinion of themselves. The American people think of themselves, this country invented the concept of the superhero for a reason. Because the American people think we're Captain America. They think we're strong. They think
Did America invent the concept of the superhero? I have a feeling that's not true.
we're robust, and they want their president to look that way. William Howard Taft had lived in an era where they saw pictures of the president, he wouldn't have been the president. Americans want the president to represent them in the world in a certain way that has vigor, that has strength. Al Gore was a brilliant man, an excellent decision maker, made excellent decisions as vice president. Americans didn't care. They wanted the guy they thought was...
No, Americans did care. There were fucking riots over, like, Al Gore not getting elected, right? Like, it was such a shit show. It was so fine of a line, such a thin margin. Like, America was well and truly split with Gore, wasn't it? Like, I don't think America rejected Gore, did they? I don't know. I wasn't really around for back then, but from what I've heard and from what I've been looked up, it seems like it was wild. America, in fact, didn't invent the concept of the superhero. 2000 was like the actual election steal. Yeah, my understanding is like everyone lost their shit. Half the country lost their shit because the election was like legitimately stolen. You know,
it's cooler. That's just real talk about Americans and about American voters. And so to your point, Joe Biden, yes, you can look at his record, and it is factually one of the best records of any modern president. It is a top 10 president's record. But you can't become president again when America looks at you.
Yeah. I feel like that election for like the next 8 to 12 years radicalized young people in the same way that Trump for the next 8 to 12 years after his election has radicalized a ton of people to the left. I wonder what the next thing will be.
And that avatar to them looks broken.
Well, let's not pretend this is a good thing. Right. Let's just remember that what's happened here is imagery has taken control of the way we see presidential campaigns.
Yes.
FDR could not possibly have survived a debate like this at any time, and he was arguably our best president. Could not possibly have done it. He was in much worse physical shape.
Oh, yeah. No, Biden will be remembered, like, if he just has one term, his one term will be remembered as, like, FDR tier, and people will be like, why couldn't he win a second term? Well, you see, this thing called social media was invented, and it nearly ended all human civilization, let me tell you. You know, like, that's, in, like, 200 years, that's going to be what's going down.
In his last presidential campaign, and was in effect much older, because he turns out he was in the last year of his life in his last presidential campaign, which he won. But we don't have a better government because we've turned to the most superficial components of politics to decide our candidates. If we did that in the 1940s, FDR would not have been president, and, you know, good luck with World War II.
I'm curious to see. Oh, wow. That was interesting timing there. I actually want to see the clips from the debate itself, and then I want to show Biden's recent speech that he did. Yeah, here's the clips. Let's check this out.
Get knocked down, you get back up.
Joe Biden came out swinging today, all fired up at a rally in North Carolina.
So, like, where was this Joe Biden during the debate? God damn, they must have. He definitely boofed a can of Monster Energy before that speech. He like understood. Shit. Like, I got to bring the energy to these speeches, and bro boofed the Monster Energy before the speech to show the American people that he can still juice up and project that voice.
After his truly dreadful debate performance.
I don't debate as well as I used to. But I know what I do know. I know how to tell the truth.
His advisors are rejecting calls for him to drop out of the presidential race. They say he will debate again in September. But most...
Rejecting calls for him to drop out of the presidential race? He should drop out of the presidential race and let Trump win. Who is saying this? Trump supporters?
Americans, even Biden's allies, are in agreement. Last night was a disaster.
That was painful. I love Joe Biden. I work for Joe Biden. He didn't do well at all.
Right now, as we speak, there is a deep, a wide, and a very aggressive panic in the Democratic Party.
Look at the headlines. Democrats despair. Biden is toast. Just sad. From the start, it was clear these two guys hate each other. Look, no handshake. Biden glanced at Trump, who stared straight ahead. The stage was spare, just the candidates and the moderators. Right out of the gate, the president was shaky.
And I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative.
He mumbled.
You can tell he's shivering with anger that he has to be in the same room as Trump. Why would he agree to this? Why would he? Did he suggest it?
Altered, lost his train of thought.
What I've been able to do with the COVID, with dealing with.
Bro, what? Dude, this isn't even his normal mumbling. This is he's shivering. He looks afraid of Trump.
Everything we have to do with, look, if we finally beat Medicare.
When he stumbled again, Trump pounced.
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either.
Biden has been America's grandfather for years. We all know.
That was a good zinger there from Trump too. Trump knows how to let an opponent hang themselves and then shoot the hanging corpse in the debate. That's the rough thing. Don't debate Trump. His supporters and the average American voter will see his shit talking as endearing. Trying to be sincere and nice and dry and political is not what the average American voter is going to be receptive to these days, especially not in the age of social media.
How old he is. But this was a moment where you went to visit your grandpa and you realized that maybe he was declining, that maybe he wasn't as healthy as you thought he was a couple of years ago. This was a giant wake-up call for the American people.
So what was going on with Biden? We asked neuropsychologist Dr. Sanham Hafiz.
He seems kind of disconnected from what's going on around him. He fumbles for his words. And we can, as a neuropsychologist, I can tell the difference between someone who's struggling with language versus cognition. And for him, it seems to be both.
You're the sucker. You're the loser.
Biden did land some punches.
Having sex with a porn star on the night while your wife was pregnant. I mean, what are you talking about? You have the morals of an alley cat.
Give an answer. I didn't have sex with a porn star.
And there was this ludicrous moment when they bickered about who's the better golfer.
I was an 8 handicap. Yeah. 8. But I had,
I've seen you swing. I know you swing.
Hey, let's not act like children. The most significant exchange between the two candidates
was over their golf.
A CNN Snap poll declared Trump the clear winner. But
God damn. Like I said, the American people, they want someone who talks shit. The American people watch reality TV. They want a reality TV president. Not one that's going to literally kill them with a global pandemic, but they don't remember it anymore. The Americans have a memory span of at most a year. At most a year when it comes to politics. So, But
he's getting slammed for telling lies.
There was a rapid-fire lie after lie after lie, untruth after untruth.
Fact checkers counted 30 Trump lies to Biden's 9.
The Trump campaign is in a celebratory mood.
CBS.
Yeah, last time I checked, polls already changed to favor Trump. Yes, the polls did swing to went from favoring Biden to favoring Trump after the debate.
News correspondent Caitlin Huey-Burns is traveling with Trump. The conversation today is whether or not the president will be replaced on the party's ticket. Is that even conversation there at the rally?
Biden is the candidate they want to run against. Replacing Biden on the ticket,
Ultimately, the Democratic establishment did this. What does that mean? I've heard this since Bernie lost the election. What does that mean? The Democratic establishment established this. Everyone else lost the primary in 2020 or 2019. But Biden won it. The majority of Democrat voters supported Biden. And so, are those the people who are at fault? Because I remember that for a long time, the idea was those people needed to be punished with another Trump presidency for not voting Bernie. That was the logic back in 2020. Meant to say polls have already started moving to favor Biden, not Trump. Okay, that's good.
however far-fetched, is not something that the Trump campaign wants.
We had a big victory against a man that really is looking to destroy our country. Biden, you're fired. Get out of here. You're fired.
He's bringing that back? Jesus.
Today, the shell-shocked co-hosts of The View, normally friendly to Biden, called on him to step down.
He can bow out at this time with grace and dignity. He has a record he can be proud of.
He needs to put country before his own ambition, and he needs to step aside.
I've known Joe Biden for over 20 years. I've never seen Joe Biden like I saw him last night. Sure. It is worrisome.
Dude, imagine he just didn't get a lot of sleep the night before because he was nervous about the debate. Because he low-key came off as tired. Like, I'm tired right now, and I have to, like, fight to keep my thought process and, like, you know, my sentences going because I'm sleepy from, yeah, but maybe he was just sleepy. But Jesus Christ. Yeah, just bow out, you know, do it with dignity and let Trump take power and do Project 2025. We won't have a democracy anymore. It'll be the last election ever. But, you know, just bow out, you know, bow out with dignity. Bow out with dignity. Seriously, you need to show how focus groups reacted? What's this?
Fue el tema que más acaparó su atención en este debate. El hecho de que el señor no contesta, no.
Why would you send me something that's not even slightly in English? Lefty Jenna, you're teetering on the end of a one-day mute.
President Biden.
Thank you.
So this is the Biden North Carolina speech. Apparently he's way stronger here. Let's see it.
Thank you, North Carolina.
Okay, where was this? He definitely boofed some monster.
I'm gonna get in trouble with my mom looking down in heaven if I don't say, please excuse my back. I apologize.
Yeah, everyone seemed to like this speech. Everyone loved this speech.
It's good
This is a couple days after.
Back.
Like, it's not even just that he comes off as, like, more there in this speech. He also comes off as more charming and, likable here.
Eric, thanks for that introduction. We had a wonderful time spending time with your sons, Kristen and Carter. We're going to grow up to be incredible young men. You would have been really impressed the way they talked about their dad, how informed they were about what was going on. I was truly impressed. And I ate 2 hamburgers.
Hamburger.
And a special thanks to Roy and Kristen Cooper. Roy, you've been a great governor. Which makes it all the more important that North Carolina elected a great governor to replace you, Josh Stein. And when I'm reelected again with your help, I want you to know that I'm not promising not to take Roy away from North Carolina.
I like that he's, like, talking to the North Carolinians, you know? That's a big part of these public speaking events, is you've got to feel like you want the crowd and the people of that state that are seeing the speech to feel like they are being spoken to directly. And Biden's doing that well here. He's doing that well. I like that. Biden has sundown. That's not what sundowners is. Sundowners isn't when, like, it gets late in the day and you get tired. You know, that's not what sundowning is, right? Sundowning is when someone with dementia or schizophrenia later in the day as the sun goes away loses their attachment to, like, their memory and their space and where they are, and they start, like, hallucinating and having, like, dementia moments where they think they're, like, back at the pool 20 years ago, like walking their, I don't know, like they'll completely like think they're reliving a memory from a past event. They'll rewind, you know, it's just dementia acting up late in the day when the sun goes down. Biden is not sundowning. He does not have dementia.
Where they're coming out, I don't know. And thanks to all the state and local leaders here today, the great musicians and entertainers who performed earlier. Folks, let me tell you why I'm here in North Carolina. I'm here for what?
Oh yeah, there was apparently a part of the debate where Trump just started screaming Hamas for no reason. I heard that. Yeah. No, not the meme. No, we're not doing the meme. No, Balth, this is a segment. This is a segment, Balth. 4 more years. 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 4 more years.
I'm here in North Carolina for one reason. Because I intend to win this state in November. Are you going to see that?
On pipe.
I think we are. And Roy's right. We win here, we win the election. And here's how we're going to do it. We're going to stand up for the women of America.
You guys also have to remember that, like, Trump's Republican Supreme Court has screamed loud and proud from the rooftops to every woman in America that they are coming for their rights, like, when it comes to their reproductive system. From contraception to abortion to IVF, they're coming for their rights. Women are going to come out in droves to vote for Biden. Even the more moderate and even somewhat conservative-leaning ones. There are a lot of women who voted Republican and were in favor of the anti-abortion rulings, and they're in states where the abortion was getting banned, until their pregnancies started having issues. And it turned out that they were going to have to be on their deathbed with sepsis before they could be opened up and operated on. And they found out that they are possibly going to die because of these policies, and it wasn't all lies made up by these evil baby killer women, that it's true. And those women exist in large numbers every single day. More and more women that voted Republican, live in these right-wing states, are going through that experience and realizing, holy fucking shit, it wasn't a conspiracy. The lefties weren't lying. I might die because getting the treatment I need to get, like, the literal dead corpse out of my body that's rotting and causing my body to go into, like, septic shock. Like, it's not legal in my state to save me. Like, there's going to be a lot of people in that position. There already are a lot of people in that position.
We're going to restore Roe v. Wade as the law of the land. We're going to stand up for the right to vote. We're going to stand up for Medicare and Social Security. We're going to fight for child care, paid leave, and elder care. We're going to keep lowering the cost of prescription drugs, not just for seniors, but for every single American.
You know what? People don't give Biden credit anymore. Didn't he, like, recently set the minimum price of insulin at, like, $30 or $35 or something? Like, didn't he, like, issue, like, a federal mandatory, like, 5,000% cut on the cost of, like, insulin vials? That was, like, one of the biggest issues in America, unironically. That insulin was so fucking expensive, people had to hoard it and go to Mexico to buy it for the prices that you can now get it here in America. Like, Biden doing that was the thing that, like, shoe-on-head type progressives would always criticize Democrats for not having the balls to do. And then Biden did that. Biden fucking did the fucking insulin thing. He did the insulin thing lefties talked about for decades and decades, and now everyone's forgotten. Even I, who have to, like, keep up with all of Biden's positive, like, changes and policies, even I just remembered, wait, didn't he literally fix the insulin problem? Like, drop the price down to a federal, max of, like, $40 or $35? Like, Jesus. Yeah, I need an actual list so I can just rattle that stuff off, you know?
Protecting the Affordable Care Act. Which is why more than 40 million Americans have health insurance today. They didn't before. We're going to protect our children and get the weapons of war off our streets.
That means banning all the guns that can go bang without having to manually move a bolt for like 2 seconds between shots. I don't like that. They did that here in Washington, and let's just say rural Washington does not like the current governor very much.
We're going to provide clean drinking water, affordable high-speed internet, quality education for every child in America. We're going to secure our border and protect legal immigration.
Don't worry, Biden's not going to succeed in any anti-gun policy stuff. It won't happen.
And unlike the other guy, we're going to stand up to dictators like Putin because America bows to no one. No one ever.
This is way better performance.
Folks, and we're going to keep dealing with the climate crisis.
And when he talks about the climate crisis, you have to remember he's basically killed the coal industry. That's like 80% of the like yearly carbon emissions dealt with by Biden already. You can tell he's kind of sick. He's coughing. Oh my fucking God. Yeah, so like this is a good idea of like why the American people and like the people who watch these speeches and debates are just so easy to like fall into these conspiracies. You can tell he's sick. He's coughing. Have you seen him sip any water at any point? Maybe it's only me that can relate because my job is to talk for hours on end for a living. But when you're projecting your voice out to a crowd, into a microphone even, for a while, and yet you're not taking... My lips are dry as a fucking desert right now. I have to actively... I have to use discipline to keep myself from sipping water as much as I would like to because my throat, mouth, and lips are so dry, you know? Because when you're speaking, it's like drying, but you can't stop and take a sip every second because people watching realize that. If you're not experienced in public speaking, it's really hard to realize how much you have to keep yourself from coughing, from how dry all this gets from speaking and not drinking water because you're so locked in on speaking. But yeah, like people hear a cough from having like a dry throat and they think he's sick. He's dying. He's fucking sick, you know?
Look, more than anything, we're going to preserve, protect, and defend our democracy.
True, we got to do that. For democracy.
More than anything else, that is what is at stake in America this election. Your freedom, your democracy. America itself is at stake. Now, folks, I don't know what you did last night, but I spent 90 minutes on a stage debating a guy who has the morals of an alley cat.
Who likes that? Who likes that insult?
Did you see Trump last night? My guess, he set, I mean it sincerely, a new record for the most lies told in a single debate.
Really? I don't think so. I think he's told way more lies than that.
He lied about the great economy he created. He lied about the pandemic he botched, killing millions of people. He closed businesses. He closed schools, losing their homes, people all over this country. America's...
I do love that because, like, Trump was president in, like, the brunt of COVID. That, like, Trump can, like, if Biden's smart, he can actually turn the whole, like, shutting the country down thing around onto Trump.
Flat on its back. So I told Trump that it was just one of two presidents in American history who left office with fewer jobs than he started. Herbert Hoover was the other one. That's why I call him Donald Herbert Hoover Trump.
Such a boomer, like, president insult, but I love it.
And then he lied about how great he was for veterans. But then...
Before he was even president, he called who was it, McCain, who isn't perfect, but is considered to be an American hero. Like, he was held as a POW for, like, months, weeks, and tortured. And, like, from what I hear, was, like, pretty brave for not, like, giving up at all, like, just, like, enduring. And Trump called him a coward and said, I like the people who don't get captured. Like that, like Trump, before getting elected, was getting himself embroiled in controversy over insulting veterans.
I told him how he had called a veteran who had given their lives in the country in World War I and refused to go to the grave sites. He called them suckers and losers.
Oh.
He tried to deny it.
I know about that.
But let me ask you, are you going to believe a 4-star Marine general, his own former chief of staff, John Kelly, who said he said that? Or the disgraced, defeated, and lying Donald Trump? My son was one of those people. Not a war woman in the Vietnam. Folks, look, how about the fact that 44
I like how the crowd, like when Biden stutters, the crowd just starts chanting, you know? Like the crowd caught him there.
How about the fact? That's okay. How about the fact that 40 out of his 44 top advisors, including the vice president, aren't supporting him this time around? The people who know him best, 40 of them said, I will not support the man I work for this time around. It tells you a lot about the person who knows him.
Oh, there was a
Look,
heckler.
He lied about how great he was on crime. I had to remind him that he oversaw a record increase in murder rates in 2020. On my watch, violent crime has hit a 50-year low. There's more to do with 50-year low.
That's true. To be fair, it's been consistently dropping with small
and then
spikes.
I pointed out that the only convicted criminal on the stage last night was Donald Trump.
True.
When I thought about his 34 felony convictions, his sexual assault on a woman in a public place, his being fined $400 million for business fraud, I thought to myself, Donald Trump isn't just a convicted felon. Donald Trump is a one-man crime wave. And he's got more trials. He's got more trials coming up. Well, time for that.
Let them, Biden. Let them.
The thing that bothers me maybe most about him, he has no respect for women.
Lock
or the
him
law.
up.
He doesn't. And then his biggest lie, he lied about how he had nothing to do with the insurrection of January 6th.
Did he really
We all
during
saw
this
with our own
debate?
eyes. We watch it on television.
He called them very special. He literally called them his special little guys.
We saw thousands in his direction attack the Capitol. We saw police being attacked, the Capitol being ransacked, the mob hunting for Speaker Pelosi, gallows
Denied it
literally
outright.
set up for Mike Pence. And then he told them as he sat in the dining room, the private dining room, one door off my Oval Office. He sat there for 3 hours watching the TV. He did not a single thing to stop it. Nothing. Nothing at all. And now he wants to pardon all those convicted and criminals. But folks, for all his lies,
My
we
Oval Office.
we learned some important truths about Donald Trump last night. We learned he's still proud of being the person who killed Roe v. Wade. We learned, we learned he's
Bro needs a
still
sip
proud
of
about
water,
the
you
pain
can
and
tell.
cruelty inflicted on America's women. We learned he still believes.
Like I said before, the Roe v. Wade thing is going to be a powerful motivator when Election Day actually comes. You have to remember, that Roe v. Wade thing, man. Like, reproductive rights have always been a powerful wedge issue for Democrats. This time around, it might have the most water behind it that it has in any election in modern politics. Americans don't remember. That's an exception. That's an exception, though. The Roe v. Wade thing, I don't know if that one's going to fall to the wayside and be forgotten so quickly. The Roe v. Wade thing affects the active, like, planning and way of, like, going about your life of so many uterus-having people. Mostly women, but also non-binary people and, like, trans men as well in some cases. So it's like, if you're in a red state and you're a woman, you have to tailor your sex life around the local laws that you live under. It's not the kind of thing you can forget. I don't know. So would he be able to reverse it? Can't really say, but at the very least, he's on the opposite side of the people who got rid of it. So that's going to be a pretty powerful motivator. But man, Biden seems so much stronger here than he did during the debate, doesn't he? I really wonder what happened. I think it might have just been like tired, irritable, angry, and bad performance, just a bad night for him, you know? Like, I've had nights where I do a debate and it was just a bad night for me, and then I've got days or nights where I do a debate and it was just like the stars align and it's really good, you know? Who knows? Maybe in debate number 2, which I think is still, like, supposed to happen, maybe in debate number 2, he just brings out this energy and trounces Trump. That's really the debate that matters more, would be the debate closer to the election. It was confirmed he had a cold. Yeah, I think he's had a cold for like a week now. But here he's like straight up just has like a dry throat. Like you can tell he's talked for about 10 minutes straight, and I know from experience doing that without even a sip of water dries your ass out. By the way, I did get the Hamas clip, but do the meme later. We may watch the meme later, but not in the middle of a recorded segment. Thank you, though, Beth. All right, here's apparently the clip where Trump just starts yelling Hamas over and over again.
Back to Ukraine for 1 second. We have an ocean separating us.
Yeah, so if you think that like Biden isn't doing good, like enough to stop the genocide in Gaza, you should know that Trump thinks that Biden is a Hamas sympathizer. That is how not in favor of the genocide Biden is. That Trump, the other guy, accuses Biden of being a Hamas sympathizer.
Just going back to Ukraine for 1 second. We have an ocean separating us. The European nations together have spent
Biden's face there
$100
is
billion
like
or
meme
maybe more
material.
than that, less than us.
I need it traced.
Why doesn't he call them and say, you got to put up your money like I did with NATO? I got them to put up hundreds of billions of dollars. The Secretary General of NATO said Trump did the most incredible job I've ever seen. They wouldn't have any. They were going out of business. We were spending almost 100% of the money was paid by us. He didn't do that. He's getting all. You got to ask these people to put up the money. We're over $100 billion more spent, and it has a bigger impact on them because of location, because we have an ocean in between. You got to ask them. As far as Israel,
I hate YouTube for this
and
shit.
Hamas.
I hate
Israel's
YouTube.
the one that wants to go. He said the only one that wants to keep going is Hamas. Actually, Israel is the one, and you should let him go and let him finish the job. He doesn't want to do it. He's become like a Palestinian, but they don't like him because he's a very bad Palestinian. He's a weak one.
I hate that Trump's nonsensical like ramblings that are actually the words coming from a brain that's degenerating, not aging. He's always been so ridiculous that people are just like, it's just good old Trump. And it's like, experts are like, no, he's actually experiencing like neural degradation very clearly. Like this is a problem for him. All right. Anyway, I'm really sorry that I missed the live debate and everything, but, you know, the gods decided that that debate would be hosted on the night that Dawn Trail launches, so, I decided it would probably be best just to do the recap segment. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this segment. I hope you liked my recap. If you did, please consider leaving a like, because every single thumbs up goes a long way if you don't already know. Basically, pushing my content in the algorithm out to more people for every single thumbs up from every single person, as does commenting down below. It has a very similar effect, so please consider doing so. And of course, if you haven't already, please consider subscribing and ringing the bell icon and following my social medias linked down below in the description, including joining my fan Discord through the link down there. It's totally free. It's the main hub of my community, and I also host weekly watch parties, game events, and call-in streams, or call-in streams, I should say. And I also announce all my new uploads and streams there as well, so if you're in the Discord, you won't miss anything that I do on my channel, even if YouTube's kinda being YouTube with the notifications, you know what I mean? And of course, if you'd really love to go the extra mile, you can afford it and you feel like it, consider donating, subscribing, or gifting a sub directly to me on my website, xanderhall.com/live, or supporting me through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, StreamElements, Patreon, or buying merch at the Streamlabs link down below. I really do appreciate any direct support you guys are able to send, as it really does help a lot. It really, really does. And don't forget, there's a link to join Progressive Victory there as well. There's actually multiple links for Progressive Victory. You've got the one for signing up for volunteering and the one for doing the Amplify stuff. So you've got PV Amplify and you've got the PV volunteering site, where, if you don't already know, you can volunteer to either phone bank or go to one of their upcoming canvassing events. They do a lot of local politics canvassing events, and so if you want to volunteer, then they will happily, I imagine, accept you. Apparently the last canvassing event they did, they knocked a load of doors, like a lot of doors, so I'm pretty happy to hear that. Anyway, with that said, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for your likes, your comments, your subs, any form of support you sent my way, even if you just watched, and have a good one.